This railway going across Baku, Azerbaijan, is the only east-west land transit route by which goods from China and Central Asia can transit to Europe without going through pariah states like Iran or Russia. It's called the Middle Corridor, and it is revolutionizing global trade. The conflict in Ukraine has disrupted supply chains, generated food shortages, and sent commodity prices soaring. But despite the turmoil, geo-economic forces continue to pull Europe and Asia together. China's plan to develop a trade corridor through Russia is up in smoke, while Iran's rogue policymaking terrifies foreign investors. Now, the alternative Middle Corridor is gaining steam, running from China through Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, across the Caspian Sea through Azerbaijan and Georgia before connecting to Europe via Turkish railways and ports. The Middle Corridor provides the shortest overland route from Asia to Europe. Cargo volumes have grown sixfold in 2022, and this is just the beginning. Corridors take time to grow in capacity, much like old men planting trees whose shade they know they will never sit in. Today's video is sponsored by Masterworks. While media outlets focus on raw shipping along the Middle Corridor, elsewhere energy and housing prices are punching historic highs. As a result, stocks and bonds have lost anywhere from 15 to 25% in 2022. Now, McKinsey reports the biggest institutions are putting 30 to 50% of their assets into alternatives. That's where our sponsor Masterworks comes in. Fine art in particular is an alternative asset for which major banks already offer advisory services for. But thanks to Masterworks, hundreds of you have been doing that all year. Masterworks buys paintings like Picasso's, files them with the SEC, and splits them into shares. You're investing in real physical paintings, and all filings are linked in the description. We've talked about Masterworks for over a year. Hundreds of you are already part of their 600,000 plus users, myself included, and I've seen firsthand the incredible results last year. Over $25.8 million handed back to investors from 11 paintings sold. Masterworks' paintings have been sold out in less than an hour, but using the link below means your account will be preloaded with special access. Turkey stands at the geographic nexus of Europe, Russia, Central Asia, and the Middle East. It must therefore align its interests with wider geopolitical trends, seizing opportunities as they come. Recently, this tendency has driven Ankara to integrate with China's Belt and Road Initiative. Bilateral ties have deepened, so much so that in 2015, Turkey and China agreed to harmonize their infrastructure developments along a shared path. This emphasis has given life to several megaprojects. These include the Baku-Tbilisi-Kars Railway, which opened in 2017, replacing defunct Soviet-era lines running through Armenia. This complemented the earlier Trans-Kazakhstan Rail, which shaved 1,000 kilometers off the east-west transit route. In doing so, the Middle Corridor became the shortest cross-Eurasian rail link, bolstering Ankara's plan to become a hub for containerized freight between China and the European Union. For Beijing, the project allows for trade route diversification. China's political and economic stability depends on international trade, but its overland route through Russia and its maritime route through Malacca are prone to disruptions. The Middle Corridor bypasses high-risk areas like Iran, Afghanistan, Russia, but also choke points like Malacca, Sunda, and Lombok. The corridor is thus crucial to Beijing's diversification of its geo-economic portfolio. China therefore seeks to complete the project by building a railway from Kars to Edirne on the European side of the Bosporus via the Yavuz Sultan Selim Bridge and the Marmaray Tunnel. And by connecting to the Baku-Tbilisi-Kars Railway, the Middle Corridor shaves 7,000 kilometers off the route, reducing travel times from 2 months to 2 weeks. Moreover, the number of passengers is projected to grow from 1 million to 3 million people, while cargo volumes will increase from 6 million to 15 million tons. By 2034, the corridor will form the central arm of what Beijing calls its Iron Silk Road. Turkey has also stepped up investment in port infrastructure. This includes a $3.8 billion upgrade at Mersin, an $870 million upgrade at Filyos, and a $1.2 billion upgrade at Izmir, while in 2015 a Chinese consortium purchased a 2/3 stake in the Comport terminal for $1 billion. For Ankara, the goal is to advance as the chief Mediterranean shipping outlet. Meanwhile, on the European side, Turkey's importance has grown due to the Southern Gas Corridor, a pipeline running across its territory from Azerbaijan to Italy via Georgia, Greece, and Albania. In July 2022, Baku and Brussels agreed to double Azerbaijani natural gas capacity by 2027. Still later, Baku signed a deal on an underwater electric cable under the Black Sea to deliver Azerbaijani wind and solar energy to Europe. Brussels is also interested in Kazakhstan's rare earth deposits, which are vital for the transition to renewable technologies. In this way, Turkey seeks to make itself indispensable to China on the one side and Europe on the other. But until recently, the Middle Corridor was considered a footnote to Eurasian geoeconomics. Its multi-module combination of sea and rail transport was seen as inefficient against the straightforward rail line of Russia's Northern Corridor. Moreover, Central Asian states like Kazakhstan were concerned that undermining Russian influence would generate blowback. So, until recently, there wasn't much movement along the Middle Corridor. But following sanctions related to Russia's annexation of Crimea, Central Asia began reorienting itself away from Moscow. A 2018 Caspian Sea border treaty removed an impediment to regional integration. And combined with new infrastructures, trade volumes through the corridor began to increase, rising 50% from 2020 to 2021. Danish shipping company Maersk, Finnish company Nurminen Logistics, Dutch logistics provider Railbridge Cargo, French logistics firm Sefa Logistics, and Azerbaijan's Adi Container, and several Chinese firms have all begun using the Middle Corridor. Russia's war in Ukraine has accelerated this trend. Almost all trade flows between Russia and Europe have been affected, with shipments along the Northern Corridor down 40%. Beyond the unprecedented sanctions affecting Russia's European trade, its actions in Ukraine have made it an unreliable partner. The thing is, in business, states can forgive immoral behavior but are less tolerant of unpredictability. Since the Ukraine war, the Middle Corridor has scooped up 1/3 of the Northern Corridor's trade, and output is set to increase 6-fold in 2022 against the 2021 statistics, amounting to 3.2 million tons of cargo. Ankara has also leveraged its soft power to make inroads in Central Asia, signing new strategic partnerships with Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. It has also expanded the responsibilities of the Organization of Turkic States, which, besides Turkey, includes Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Kyrgyzstan, as well as Turkmenistan and Hungary as observers. The nations partaking in the Middle Corridor are also strengthening connectivity, adding new ports, ferries, trains, and developing integrated customs and border management, regulations, and technical standards. Key to the success of the Middle Corridor is the Caspian Sea and the relationship between Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan. Both states have upgraded and expanded their seaports, there are new airports and railways in place, and both nations are expanding their fleet of cargo ships to manage the increase in shipping. Constructing a railway across the Caspian Sea is technically possible, but Moscow and Tehran have legal veto rights over such projects. So, the Middle Corridor is likely to remain confined to multimodality. Other complications are to be found in Turkmenistan and Kyrgyzstan. Their respective infrastructures are lagging. Port facilities at Turkmenbashi are underdeveloped and unappealing due to high shipping tariffs. Modernization and regulatory integration are needed to make the route viable. As for Kyrgyzstan, its lawmakers are skeptical that the planned railway through its territory will bring economic benefits, as the design suggests its primary goal is merely to connect the Chinese hub of Kashgar to more lucrative markets. So the route going through Kazakhstan remains the most feasible. Besides infrastructure shortcomings, regional tensions could also derail the project. The ongoing conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan is one of them. Since the 2020 war, policymakers have suggested reopening Soviet-era rail lines and ending the blockade with Turkey. Armenian officials suggest this could raise their country's GDP by 1/3 within 2 years. But this would require Armenia to renounce territorial claims against Azerbaijan. Still more, there are concerns that a potential rail line through the Zengezur corridor to Nakhchivan could cut Armenia off from Iran. Likewise, Iranian officials are anxious about separatism in its ethnic majority Azerbaijani regions, also named Azerbaijan. As such, Tehran opposes the Zengezur corridor as it could strengthen Baku's influence among Iranian Azerbaijanis. So yeah, the middle corridor has complications. The primary route through Georgia has its own bag of problems. Fearing being sidelined from regional trade, Russia could push its separatist allies in Abkhazia, South Ossetia and Karabakh to stir disquiet along the Baku-Tbilisi-Kars railway. Finally, Beijing is concerned that Ankara's emphasis on Turkic integration could aggravate separatism amongst ethnic Uyghurs in Xinjiang, whose treatment has caused tension in the past. Still, business comes first, and China is Turkey's second largest trading partner, with bilateral trade rising from $1 billion in 2001 to $36 billion in 2021. There are now more than 1,200 Chinese companies operating in Turkey, with Chinese direct investment in the country totaling $4 billion. So, for the moment, pragmatism has won out. All up, the middle corridor could transform the geo-economic architecture of Eurasia. It brings the European Union closer to the Caucasus, Central Asia and China, boosting Turkey's regional profile in the process. Yet, the project's success will largely depend on a lack of viable alternatives, and geopolitical instability along the middle corridor, especially from regional powers poised to lose out, could dampen its appeal. Wealth and prosperity can bring people together, but it is wise never to underestimate the other side's greed. I've been your host Shirvan from Caspian Report. Special thanks to Anton Murrell for researching and writing this topic. And if you want to gain access to some perks like early access or PDF files, consider joining our Patreon platform or the YouTube membership program. Thank you for watching, and Sahul.